Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another episode of TEW 2020 WWE. We're here, week 4 in April now, the final week before Backlash. Backlash's cards pretty rounded out at the moment, but still a few more matches to be confirmed as of yet. And we are starting this week with Monday Night Raw, and we start with the Messiah, Seth Rollins, coming out to the ring as he has done since Mania, giving another serve and saying about how he feels like it was meant to be an insult to put him out here first, starting the show, but he does not see it like that. He says, because wherever Seth Rollins is the main event, like how at WrestleMania 35, Seth Rollins and versus Brock Lesnar kicked off the show, but everybody knows that was the true main event of WrestleMania. Seth Rollins promises, no matter where you put him on the card, that is the main attraction and always will be. The 77, and then the match itself between Rollins and Oney Lorcan. 56, Seth Rollins getting the one with the curb stomp. 72 for Seth Rollins in ring-wise. Seth, another great performance. As expected, Oney with 31, pretty well. That's good. Seth Rollins sending another message that he believes he is WWE, and he believes he has been for a long time, and he wants the respect he feels he is owed. And then next up, backstage, Asuka, Io Shirai and Kairi Sane, the WWE Women's World Champion and the Women's Tag Team Champions, just talking when Shayna Baszler and Paul Heyman walk by, and Shayna, a bit cocky looking, and they go back and forth for a minute before suddenly Raquel, González and Dakota Kai attack the Sky Pirates from behind. Asuka, taken aback, distracted, allowing Shayna Baszler to get a few hits in as well. The 6 women brawling had to be dragged apart for the 63. And it's then announced that tonight we will see a 6-woman tag, a little preview for Saturday and Sunday. Asuka, Io Shirai and Kairi Sane versus Shayna Baszler, Dakota Kai and Raquel González. So that's something to look forward to. And then next up here, we have AJ Styles being interviewed by Charlie Caruso. AJ Styles talking about Sunday, talking about the WWE Championship match, talking about how it's been way too long since AJ Styles has been in that main event picture, has been this close to the WWE Championship. The WWE title he dragged back to relevancy in 2016. He says that Edge, 10 years ago, when he had to retire, Edge was barely as relevant as AJ Styles was at the time, let alone now. AJ Styles has proved time and time again he is greater than Edge has ever been. He says Edge might think he's awesome, but I am phenomenal. And this Sunday I will prove once and for all I am better than Edge is now, better than Edge has ever been, and I will reclaim the WWE Championship. For an 18-9, AJ Styles, very good as usual on the mic. And then next we have a very angry Sheamus taking on Shane Form for 43. Sheamus with 58, Shane with 30. Alright, Sheamus very quickly, under 4 minutes with the bro kick. He could have pinned Shane Form earlier. He kind of just toys with him. He's getting a lot of the aggression he seems to have out. He gets the win in the end, and then after the match, he gets on the mic and he calls out Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. He says, "You cost me a shot at the WWE Championship a few weeks ago, and then last week against Drew, I came out, and Drew might not be happy with that, but he understands the anger I feel. He understands that I need to get my hands on you." For 70, it demands the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, whoever, to come out right now. When the Funhouse music plays, Bray Wyatt appears from the Funhouse on the Titantron. And he says, "Oh, Sheamus, Sheamus, Sheamus." Talks about how all Bray wants to do is teach his little fireflies. He wants to teach them right from wrong. He wants to show them the way forward. And then there's Sheamus and Drew, who are so filled with hate, so filled with anger. who use such foul language, who drink so much, and they are trying to poison his dear little fireflies, and that's something Bray Wyatt can't stand, and that's something that he can't stand. And he says, you know what, Sheamus? Okay, this Sunday at Backlash, he will be there, and he will teach you a lesson once and for all. For 79, making it official, Sheamus versus The Fiend at Backlash. Moving forward, backstage, Drake Maverick with RVD and Timothy Thatcher obviously fighting for the hardcore title at Backlash. And Drake says, I know what you both want. You both want a chance to prove yourself a bit more going to Sunday, to get maybe that psychological advantage, you know? He says he's got both of them a match tonight. And RVD and Timothy Thatcher both look a bit happy. And Drake says, for the tag team titles. And RVD and Thatcher don't look happy about that. They're arguing, they're going back and forth, and Drake says, no. You both want a chance to prove yourself tonight. You both want to show the other what you can do. We'll do it together. And they try and protest, but he says, no. This is it. This is final for the 57. Making official, Breezango with the first defense of the Raw Tag Team titles against RVD and Timothy Thatcher later on tonight. And then we have the 6-women's tag match announced earlier, Asuka and the Sky Pirates versus Shayna Baszler, Dakota Kai, and Raquel González for a 64. It gets into, you know how it ends with these 6-man tags, 8-man tags usually. They kind of, everyone's getting in the ring, everyone's brawling. And in the end, Shayna Baszler manages to lock in the Kirifuda clutch on Kairi Sane, forcing her to submit. Shayna Baszler getting the win for her team. Asuka and Hijo going in to check on Kairi after, whilst the very smug Shayna, Dakota, and Raquel go up the ramp. Performance-wise, Asuka 75, above everyone else as expected. Shayna with a 50, Raquel 51, Dakota 49, pretty even on that team. Hijo with 64, Kairi with 56. I am happy with that. That's done very well, all things considered, performance-wise, I believe. And then, next up, there's an interview with Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna, talking about last week, talking about her return to WWE in such a big match. In her first official match back in WWE, pinning the Women's World Champion, Asuka, for a 49. She says, this isn't a surprise. This shouldn't be for anyone. Maybe it's for management, who so underappreciated her the last time she was here. But for her, for the people who have really paid attention to who Deonna Purrazzo is, this is not a surprise. This is expected, because Deonna Purrazzo is the very best, the virtuoso. And she says, to her it doesn't matter what happens on Sunday. Shayna Baszler, Asuka, she will be coming for what she deserves, for what belongs to her rightfully, the Women's World Championship for a 49. It's good. Deonna making a statement here for her intentions. And then next we have Breezango defending the Raw Tag Team Championships against RVD and Timothy Thatcher. And it looks like Timothy Thatcher and RVD maybe, just maybe, able to work together here until a little bit of miscommunication. Thatcher, legal man, RVD and him arguing. Thatcher goes to hit RVD, RVD ducking and hitting a drop kick. Thatcher falling backwards into a roll-up from Tyler Breeze. Breezango getting the win here. The 51. It's done okay. RVD, Thatcher. Pretty even in terms of in-ring performance. I'd say 51's probably fair there. Breezango retaining the tag titles. RVD and Timothy Thatcher having some problems, as expected, going into their title match on Sunday. Thatcher. RVD getting the better of Thatcher, it could be said here, with RVD coming out. Maybe they both lost the match, but Thatcher's only got pinned. RVD has not been pinned since his return to WWE. And we go backstage. Chad Gable's walking around, and he bumps into Murphy, and he says to Murphy, hey, I saw your performances in the hardcore tournament. I thought you were very unlucky last week against Thatcher to come up short. And he says, later tonight I'm doing my US Open Invitational as usual, And Chad says, I think I'd really like it if you accepted it. He says he thinks him and Murphy work magic, and he says he thinks Murphy deserves it. And Murphy thanks him. He says, I'll think about it. For a 74, Chad Gable came out looking excellent, as always. And then, Angelo Dawkins and MVP being interviewed before Angelo Dawkins' match for the WWE Champion Edge in the main event later for 73. MVP just hyping up his man, you know. And then Angelo just kind of puts his hand up for MVP to stop and just goes up to the mic and he says, I'm used to people underestimating me. I'm used to people getting it wrong about me. There were so many people in the Street Profits, pretty much everyone saying, Montez Ford, he's going to go far. Why is he with Angelo Dawkins? He's just bringing him down. And Angelo knew he was better than Montez Ford. No matter what people said. And at WrestleMania, he proved that when he pinned Montez Ford. When he sent Montez Ford packing like the loser he is. Angelo says, MVP could see it, could see the greatness in me. And now, there's a lot of people who may be starting to see it, but in case they've still got doubts, in case they're still wondering, hey, maybe Angelo just got lucky at Mania. Maybe Montez is better than Angelo. He says he will leave no doubts. And it starts. This continues tonight against Edge when he pins Edge, the WWE Champion. That continues when he beats AJ or Edge for the WWE Championship in the future. And that will never stop. And in the end, no one will be able to question who is better. And that the answer will be clear. Angelo Dawkins on top. 73, very good segment there. The next up, Dana Brooke versus Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna, her first singles match, gets the win. Oof, 22. That has not done well. Probably a little too short there. Deonna with a 37 though. Promising. Dana with 29. That's disappointing. But headline, Deonna Purrazzo getting a win in her first singles match back in WWE. That's what to focus on for next. The Chad Gable US Open Invitational for a 71. It's the usual thing, who's going to step up? And it is Murphy for a 72. Murphy, just like Chad wanted, accepting the challenge. Chad seems very pleased. Him and Murphy square up. Chad offers out his hand, Murphy shakes it. A bit of respect between the two competitors before the match itself. Chad Gable picking up the win, 80 performance, 42 for Murphy, 59 for the match, that's alright. Chad Gable gets the win here by disqualification. Cesaro running in, attacking Chad Gable. Murphy kind of tries to drag him off it when Cesaro hits him with an uppercut. Leaves the two men laying down. Cesaro going out there and grabbing the US title, bring it in the ring. He just kind of looks at it and he says, I'm better than you, Chad. This is nothing. I'm coming for this, and I'm going to put it back where it belongs, in the trash. Whilst the European Championship sits where it always should be, round Cesaro's waist. For 67, Cesaro will be taking on Chad Gable this Sunday at Backlash for the United States Championship in a WrestleMania rematch. Cesaro currently signed to Smackdown, but it'll be a bit of a crossband battle on Sunday, with the United States title on the line. And then we have Edge being interviewed for an 80. Edge talking about tonight, he says, Angelo Dawkins, obviously a young competitor, a lot of potential. Edge can see that in him. He says, maybe allowing himself to be led astray a little bit by MVP. He knows MVP, knows what MVP is like, how he can get in his head, so he understands it. He says maybe someday Angelo Dawkins will be WWE champion. He could definitely see that, he could understand that. But he says maybe not with MVP. He says maybe MVP will be holding him back for the rest of his career unless he can see through the facade that MVP has. Then he moves on to Sunday, talking about AJ Styles, talking about how much respect he has for AJ, how long he had dreamed of the match him and AJ could have, and he said he can't wait till Sunday to have it. But at the end of the day, with the WWE title on the line, the WWE title he longed to hold again. The WWE title he dreamed of having once more, just for one more run, one more reign for 10 years whilst he was retired. He says he won't let that go. He says AJ can be at the top of his game. He can be the phenomenal one. He can be AJ freaking Styles, but it doesn't matter to Edge because he can't lose. He won't allow it to happen. He won't allow himself to lose that WWE title because he says, well, when I lose it, what do I have left? What is left for me other than this WWE title here? And he said he's not ready to go again yet. So, as much as he respects AJ as a competitor, as a superstar, AJ can't beat him. It's as simple as that. For the 80 from Edge. And then the match itself, Angelo Dawkins versus Edge in the main event. Edge picking up the win with the spear. 74-75 from Edge. Angelo 55, that's probably a fair rating then. Got the crowd hotter. Edge getting the victory in the build up to Backlash. And then after the match, AJ Styles music hits, he comes onto the ramp, he's applauding, he's saying good job Edge, good job, as he makes his way down the ramp. And then Edge is like, come on then, get in the ring, come on. And Edge's like, I'm good. And he's like, he kind of feigns like, I'll do it, I'll get in, and it's like, no. And then suddenly Angelo Dawkins turning Edge around, picking him up, looks like he's going to hit a spine buster, when Edge jumps out of it, bounces off the rope, and hits Angelo Dawkins with another spear, leaves him lying. AJ Styles, a bit psyched out a little bit, expecting that Edge saw that coming, that Edge was able to counter it. He kind of shakes off, he's got that cocky attitude again. And Edge grabbing the WWE title off the floor and raising it above him as he does his little rock-on fingers. AJ Styles and Edge staring down to end Raw for the 83, and then the show itself 73. Yeah, that's probably fair. Main event maybe a bit disappointing with the 64 brought down a little bit, but overall I think that's a very good episode of Raw. The final Raw before Backlash, just building up, finishing storylines. Raw's matches, of course, Baszler versus Asuka in a submission match for the Women's World Championship. Gable, Cesaro for the United States title. Timothy Thatcher versus RVD for the Hardcore Championship. Sheamus taking on The Fiend, of course, and finally, of course, main event Raw-wise, Edge versus AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. But that is it for Raw this week. Now on to NXT. NXT kicking off here with a contract signing, the first of two tonight, between Aleister Black and the Velveteen Dream before the former tag partners compete at TakeOver in Your House with an opportunity to become contender to the NXT Championship. Both men in the ring going back and forth, eventually signing the contract before putting aside the table, just kind of squaring up. Regal telling him no funny business, no attacking each other, no fighting. He just wants a good clean contract signing, and the two kind of square up. It looks like maybe it could descend into something. When suddenly, out come Imperium. Fabian Eichner, Marcel Bartel, not happy, making their way down to the room, saying that us like Velveteen Dream, neither of them deserves to be in the NXT Championship picture. The only man who deserves to be sitting atop NXT as its supreme champion is Walter. They get in the ring and they say Aleister Black, Velveteen Dream, neither of them are fit enough to lace Walter's boots. They say Walter might be in the United Kingdom right now as the NXT UK champion, the unbeatable NXT UK champion. But still, it disgusts them to see people like Aleister Black and Velveteen Dream anywhere near contention for a title that may not belong to him physically, but in all but name belongs to Walter for 68. Setting up a match Regal announced. Next up, Aleister Black and the Velveteen Dream, Dreams and Nightmares, before their match on Sunday against Imperium here. And we get towards the end, Aleister Black and Velveteen Dream kind of arguing. Velveteen Dream says, duck. Black ducks down before Velveteen Dream super kicks Marcel Bartel. And then Aleister Black looks at him and says, you too. And then Velveteen Dream ducks down, allowing Aleister Black to hit the Black Mass on Fabian Eichner. Fabian Eichner falling out the ring after the Black Mass, whilst Aleister Black throws Marcel Bartel into Dream, who kicks him up for the Dream Valley Driver before Aleister Black gets the pin on Marcel Bartel for 45. Bartel and Eichner with the 18 and 26, bringing it down a bit, but Black and Velveteen Dream getting the win here before Sunday, showing that maybe, despite the arguments, despite the match between them coming up on Saturday, I've been saying Sunday, I mean Saturday at NXT Takeover in Your House, that maybe, just maybe, they still have that tag chemistry, they still have that connection. And after the match, they kind of just square down with each other once again. Before we cut to commercial and we come back. Keith Lee, backstage, walking around, he bumps into Cameron Grimes. Keith Lee says, I've got nothing left to say to you, I'll see you on Saturday. And Grimes says, no. I've spoken to Mr. Regal, and you are going to have a match up. So tonight, I would too, but you know, nursing a little bit of an injury, I got a bit of a, sore throat. But Mr. Regal says, you will be having a match tonight, and I found the perfect man for it. And walks into frame at Lars Sullivan for the 66, hang up Keith Lee versus Lars Sullivan later tonight. And then next up we have an interview with El Hijo del Fantasma before his cruiserweight semi-final tonight against John Morrison. He goes over how much this would mean to him, how much this could help build his legacy like his father had. He says, from such a young age, he looks up to his father, he aspired to be like his father, and he says, the quest to reaching the heights his father once had started a few weeks ago, and they continue tonight against John Morrison, and he says he will do whatever it takes to get into the Cruiserweight final. Takeover in Your House for 41. Fantasma doing very well there. And then next up we have the match, and announced a minute ago, Keith Lee versus Lars Sullivan. Keith Lee getting the win with the Spirit Bomb for a 58. Keith Lee with a 63, much better rating than Lars Sullivan. Keith Lee doing very well to get that to a 58. And Keith Lee getting the win, building a bit of momentum going into Sunday. Cameron Grimes, as time goes on, beginning to look more and more worried, it seems, at the prospect of fighting Keith Lee, but he's still got that cocky, maybe faux confidence he carries around with him. Then afterwards we go backstage, John Morrison getting interviewed now. Like earlier, he says, a year ago he was a tag team champion. Not long after, he wasn't a tag team champion, he became Universal Champion. Then he was costed by a man he thought was his best friend. He's had such a wild, rough year, didn't know where it was going to go. And he said this is a new start, a new year, a fresh start on NXT. And he doesn't know where he'll be in a year's time, but he knows that where he wants to be Saturday. He wants to be on TakeOver in Your House. He wants to be fighting for that Cruiserweight title. And he said that against Fantasma tonight, he's going to give his all to get there for a 45. Very good. And then the match itself, John Morrison, El Hijo del Fantasma in the first Cruiserweight tournament semi-final. And El Hijo del Fantasma picks up the win with the Phantom Driver for a 57-0 back and forth match. Pretty even, I would say. Fantasma with a 50, Morrison with a 62. Very good for the 57. Very much impressed by both of these men. In the end, Del Fantasma manages to pick up the win with the Phantom Driver. Afterwards, Fantasma and Morrison showing a bit of respect to each other as Fantasma books his place at TakeOver in Your House. Now the only question remains, will he be fighting Rey Mysterio or Finn Balor? We will find out later tonight. And then we go backstage, Mickie James getting interviewed again, the same old stick, when suddenly Natalya walks in frame. Mickie James like, could you not please, I'm in the middle of something here. And Natalya says, Mickie, this is despicable of you. You know, as the veterans, we're meant to be nurturing the young talent, not bringing them down, not carrying around fake championships. And Mickie James says, this isn't fake. Do you see another person around here with with this NXT Women's title? Because I don't. I am the one true NXT Women's Champion. Natalya kind of smirks and she says, well, if that's the case, I suppose you'll be needing an opponent for Saturday at TakeOver in Your House. And Mickey James like, what? I don't know about that one. Natalya says, no, I spoke to William Regal about it, and he says that as long as you claim to be the NXT Women's Champion, then you can act like one. And so you'll be defending your title at TakeOver in Your House against me, Mickey James, and Natalya. But Mickey James not looking happy for a 40. And then next we have a match built up from the last few weeks. Lucha House Party and the Swords of Essex versus the Colons and the MVP's 8-man tag team action. For a 54, the Clones and the MVPs get the win. Most of the men brawling on the outside when Will Ospreay jumps out the ring, flips over, lands on all of them, takes them all out. Scotty Essex maybe a bit distracted, allowing Cedric Alexander to slip in and get the win here for his team, for the MVPs, getting one over the Swords of Essex before Sunday for the 54. In-ring performance-wise, Will Ospreay, Cedric, Ricochet all standing out above the rest. But it's the MVPs with the advantage, and afterwards they take the time to gloat. Will Ospreay checking on Scotty Essex in the ring as MVP bigs up his boys Cedric and Ricochet as the soon-to-be inaugural Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions for the 65. Very good show so far. Moving on, Finn Balor getting interviewed now, talking about how at WrestleMania he didn't know if he'd be on the card, but he was. For the Cruiserweight title, he never really thought about. But after Mania, he sees it in this new light as something that can lead you to something greater. As not as this kind of throwaway title, but as a title to be proud of having. A title he says he wants to have, he wants to hold. And he says, Rey Mysterio, a veteran of the business, someone he has a lot of respect for. But tonight, Rey Mysterio is going to see what happens when Finn Balor is in the main event of NXT. Something that he says many people have seen before, but people may need reminding of for a 50. Finn Balor putting out a warning to Rey Mysterio of his intentions tonight to leave with a spot in the final on Saturday. And then next up we have Kairi Sane versus Raquel González. Kairi and Nero come out first, Dakota and Raquel coming out after, taking their time with mics in hand. They're talking about Saturday. They're talking about how they are going to win and how they know they're going to win. And they said, you want us to let you know on a secret? We know your weak link. We know how to hit you where it hurts to beat you. Because we know that Hijo's great. Obviously, everyone loves Hijo, Princess of the Sky, so amazing. But what proved on Monday night that Kairi is the weak link in the Sky Pirates. Kairi getting beaten by Shayna, showing an example exactly what's going to happen Saturday. And they say Hijo probably knows that already. She's probably preparing. She's probably hoping we beat them, praying we beat them so she can get away from the dead weight that is Kairi Sane. Hijo kind of reassuring Kairi in the wing before the match. And Raquel getting the win, making Kairi Sane tap out. Dakota and Raquel going up the ramp, kind of gloating. 56, 53 and 51. Very good match from the ladies here. Raquel and Dakota going up the ramp, gloating as Hijo checks on Kairi after the match. And then next, Rey Mysterio being interviewed by Sarah Shive, talking about his career starting, way back when, becoming a Cruiserweight champion, overcoming the odds, winning the Rumble, becoming World Heavyweight champion, showing exactly what Cruiserweights can do in this business. And he says it all comes here, NXT, a show probably in the future, and here he is. He says, maybe this is my last run, and if this is, I want to hold that Cruiserweight title one more time. I want to show everybody that Rey Mysterio's still got it. I want to show everybody that you're never too old for it, in the same way I showed them you're never too small to be world champion for a 60. And then the match itself, Finn Balor versus Rey Mysterio, the winner facing El Hijo del Fantasma on Saturday to crown a new Cruiserweight champion. And Rey Mysterio getting the win with the 619-65. announcing and commentary, bringing it down a bit sadly. 71 and 79 from Balor and Mysterio respectively, though very good in-ring performances from both of them. And here's Rey Mysterio, who advances to Saturday. Afterwards, Rey and Finn showing a bit of respect, and then out comes El Hijo del Fantasma, and he gets in the ring with Rey Mysterio. They show a bit of respect to each other before staring down the Cruiserweight title in both of their minds for Saturday. Both of them want that belt. Rey Mysterio looking to extend his legacy. El Hijo del Fantasma looking to start his. Who will come out on top? We will find out. And then afterwards, you go backstage. MVP, very good move with Cedric and Ricochet. Sarah asks for a comment, and MVP snatches the mic, tells her to get out of here. He just stares down the camera. He says, Cedric, Ricochet, what you saw earlier is exactly what you're going to see again on Saturday when his boys win the Cruiserweight Tag Team titles. And what you saw last Friday from Bobby Lashley is exactly what you're going to see going forward from Bobby Lashley. He says, don't expect to see Bobby Lashley on Friday. They don't have nothing for him right now, but Bobby Lashley will make sure that management always finds something for him. He'll put himself wherever the hell he goddamn pleases. He says, on Raw, Dawkins going toe-to-toe with the WWE champion. He should have won. He was cheated, he said. He said, these past few weeks have been an example by him of what his clients are capable of, or what the MVP brand means. He says, it continues Saturday with Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions. It continues on Raw with Angelo Dawkins proving again and again why he deserves to be at the top. And it continues on Smackdown where Bobby Lashley does whatever the hell he pleases and takes whatever the hell he wants, because that is the MVP brand. Very heated for an 81. Very, very good from MVP here. Really bigging up all his clientele. And then we have a little rundown of some of the matches for TakeOver. Aleister Black versus the Velveteen Dream, where the winner will become #1 contender to the NXT Championship. El Hijo del Fantasma versus Rey Mysterio for the vacant Cruiserweight title. Mickie James versus Natalya for Mickie's NXT Women's title, not the official title, as much as she claimed it to be. Keith Lee Cameron Grimes for the North American title. You have Cedric Alexander and Ricochet, the MVPs, fighting against the Swords of Essex, Will Ospreay and Scotty Essex for the Cruiserweight Tag Team title to crown an inaugural champion. And of course you have the WWE Women's Tag Team title match, Io Shirai and Kairi Sane and the Sky Pirates against Dakota Kai and Raquel González for a 58. And then a separate package plays for Karrion Kross versus Angel Garza 74. The NXT title on the line before their contract signing. Angel Garza coming out for a 72. Karrion Kross and Scarlett coming out for the 55. And then the contract signing itself, the two men both getting their own in. Angel Garza talking about how focused he is. He promises Karrion Kross that he's going to give him the fight of his life on Saturday. And in the end, Angel Garza will come out NXT champion because he will do whatever it takes to get that title, to get that feeling of being at the top of the mountain again. And then Karrion Kross kind of going back saying, Mr. Garza, you're by all accounts a good man. I'm sure of that. A good family man. So I'm giving you this final warning. You have, and he kind of looks at his wrist and he says, you have 3 days left. About 72 hours. I want you to use that time. Go to a lawyer. Get your affairs in order. Make your last will and testament. Pay for your funeral in advance. Go home. Hug your fiancé. Hug your family, your brothers, your sisters, your father, your mother, your cousins, all of them. Hug them tight. Hold them close. Remember that moment. Because on Saturday, at TakeOver in Your House in the main event, your time runs out and the devil collects the soul that is owed to him. And both men sign the contract before Karrion Kross and Scarlett leave the ring. A statement made by both men for the 83 that they're both willing to do whatever it takes to leave NXT champion on Saturday. NXT itself, 72, another really good show I thought. The Cruiserweights doing very well, the women doing very well, and the main event segment doing very well. Karrion Kross, Angel Garza should hopefully do very well on Saturday. Looking forward to the card for TakeOver in Your House. And then finally this week in the build up to Backlash, Smackdown Live. And Smackdown getting right on the way here with a tag team match. DIY making their Smackdown debut against Heavy Machinery. DIY, of course, have a Smackdown tag team title match on Sunday at Backlash, and DIY, as expected, get the win here to Muscle Drama, pinning Tucker after the meeting in the middle. 44 for the segment, 66 for Gargano, 58 for Ciampa. DIY doing very well there. Yeah, it's a nice, solid win in their Smackdown debut. A little bit of momentum before their match with the New Day on Sunday. And then next we have the first of two $1 Million Championship semi-finals tonight. We got Naomi versus Toni Storm, and Naomi picks up the win with the roll-up. 46 for the match, 55 for Naomi, 42 for Toni Storm. Very good match, I'd say. Naomi getting the win, advancing into the final. Shows respect afterwards from the two competitors as Naomi books her place for Sunday. And then we have a little segment backstage just showing Jeff and Jay in their camps, so to speak. You got Jeff Hardy in a locker room. He's got with Matt Hardy, talking with Matt Hardy. You know, Matt Hardy kind of, coaching him through some ideas, perhaps, and with the New Day as well, bigging him up, all three members. And then you cut to Jey Uso's, and you got Jey Uso with Jimmy kind of helping him train a little, get some last minute training in. Jacob Fatu nowhere to be seen, obviously preparing for his match with Big E, and Roman Reigns just kind of sitting in the corner watching, not very happy about things at the moment. 72 for that. Then we go to an interview with Cesaro. Cesaro talking about his action on Monday, saying that, was I meant to be there? No. Do I care? No. I needed to teach Chad a lesson. I need to show him what happens. And now, on Sunday, I'm going to take the United States title back, put it where it belongs, in the trash, and bring back the European title, the prestigious European title, where it belongs, around my waist for a 55. And then we got the six-man tag match. Montez Ford, Mark Quinn, and Rich Swann versus the Dirty Dogs, Robert Roode, Dolph Ziggler, and the newest member, James Storm. And the Dirty Dogs pick up the win. It gets a bit of a chaos, and in the end, Montez Ford takes down Dolph Ziggler and hits a frog splash on him. Morrison kind of says Dolph Ziggler isn't the legal man. Montez Ford kind of surprised when James Storm and Robert Roode hit him with their tag team finisher, formerly known as the TEW, and as they call it in WWE, beer money, because it's the move that'll win them matches, as it has done here, get them bonuses and get them that beer money, a little homage to their old tag team name here for the 64. Dolph with a 70, 67 for Roode, 64 for Ford, 47 for Storm. A bit disappointing. Obviously, a bit lower popularity, having not been in WWE like Roode and Ziggler. But either way, the Dirty Dogs get the win here. James Storm pinning Montez Ford. And then we go backstage. DIY walking along talking, and they bump into the Smackdown Tag Team Champions, the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. The two teams go back and forth. A lot of respect between the four competitors as they prepare for their match at Backlash for the belts for a 75. Very good segment. And then there is an interview. Kayla Braxton interviewing Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, obviously the two women who will fight to crown the inaugural Universal Women's Champion at Backlash. But for tonight, they're teaming up to take on Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. And they talk about how whilst tonight they're working together, they'll work together to win on Sunday. It is every woman for themselves, and they both want to come out on top. They both want to be the inaugural Universal Women's Champion for a 68. Good segment. And then next up, the second $1 Million Championship semi-final. Liv Morgan versus Ruby Riott. The winner will face Naomi at Backlash for the vacant belt, and Liv Morgan gets the win over her mentor for safe. Both women obviously in the right squad together, facing off here. Liv Morgan, the youngster, less experienced than Ruby Riott, but she gets the win here at 46 to go into the final. 43 for Morgan, 41 for Ruby, 46 for 7. I'm very happy with that. And then afterwards, Paul Heyman and Thaddeus Balor coming out of Paige's office, stopped by Kayla Braxton, and Paul Heyman says, I kind of like signals for Thaddeus to stop, and he just walks up and he says, Paige, very smart woman, I know that. She's made a very good offer to Thaddeus Bullard. and Thaddeus Balor just humbly accepted to come to SmackDown Live. And you will hear more about his intentions next week. And he says that everybody should be paying attention when Thaddeus Balor and him address the WWE Universe next SmackDown, especially Apollo Crews for the 66. Next up, Big E versus Jacob Fatu. Big E facing Roman Reigns, of course, on Sunday. Will he get the momentum here, beating the Bloodline member Jacob Fatu? He does, with the 60. Big ending from Big E to get the big win. 80 in-ring falls from Big E, very good. 36 from Jacob Fatu. They're in very well to get 60 there. Fatu sadly off his game, could have been better, but oh well. Big E getting the momentum, getting the win here. And then we go backstage. Cal Braxton interviewing the Dirty Dogs, very happy, in a very upbeat mood. James Storm and Robert Roode say what they're going to do now. They've dealt with Montez Ford and his little gang, and they say now they're going to go to Page. They're going to get their bonus, their beer money, and they're going to teach Dolph Ziggler how to party. And Dolph they all look very happy, getting the win, finally getting one over on Montez Ford for a 70 here. And then, whilst we stay backstage, it's Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Jey Uso kind of psyching himself up, and Roman Reigns approaches him and he says, I hope you know what you need to do out there tonight. There can't be any more excuses or mistakes. I'm going to do my part on Sunday. I'm going to bring the Universal title back to the Bloodline where it belongs. But you, Jay, you can't fail like Jacob did earlier tonight. You can't do that. He says you can't let the Bloodline seem like a joke, because Roman Reigns will not allow that to happen. Jay said he's going to win. And Roman says, you better. For 71, Roman Reigns. Obviously not happy with the Bloodline so far tonight after Jacob Fatu's loss earlier. And then moving on, the tag team match, Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley versus Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. And Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley get the win here. At the end of the match, Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. Bianca lifts Mandy Rose up for the KOD. Rhea gets Sonya Deville into position for the Riptide. They both hit their finishers. They both symbolically pinned them. Bianca and Mandy legal, so Bianca getting the actual pin for a 53. Ripley with the 56. Bianca Belair with the 51. Both women picking up some momentum before their championship match on Sunday. And then after the match, they've shown their respect. This is all business now between the two, as they square up on the outside the ring next to a table with a velvet kind of cloth on top, and it's revealed the design of the Women's Universal Championship seen here. This is what it looks like. Shout out to u/Simon Wolf on Reddit, because if there is a custom looking design I'm using in this save, including this one, it was probably designed by him. Check him out if you're interested to see more of his work for a 60 here. And then following on from matches we'll be seeing on Sunday, Liv Morgan and Naomi bump into each other backstage, going back and forth, showing some respect. Naomi, the more experienced competitor, Liv Morgan, young, up and coming. Who will come out on top with the $1 million championship on the line? We'll find out for a 56. And then speaking of, we just run down the card for Backlash. The aforementioned matches, Rhea and Bianca for the Universal Women's title, Naomi and Liv Morgan for the $1 million title, The New Day versus DIY for the Smackdown Tag Team title, The Fiend versus Sheamus, Cesaro and Chad Gable going for the US Championship, Timothy Thatcher and RVD for the Hardcore title, Asuka versus Shayna Baszler in a submission match for the Women's World Championship, Edge versus AJ Styles for the WWE Championship, and Big E versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Strong card for a 78 here. And then finally the main event, a pay-per-view worthy match in itself, Jey Uso versus Jeff Hardy in a steel cage match, and Jeff Hardy picking up the victory here, hits the twist of fate, climbs the cage, Jey Uso down. Jeff looks like he may climb out, he says no, shakes his head. He climbs on top of the cage. He says, kind of shows himself like, oh well, and hits a swanton bomb off the top of the cage onto Jey Uso before pinning him to get the win here. 70-second rating 61 for Jay, 71 for Jeff. Very, very good main event there. And then after the match for 78, Jeff Hardy just climbs the cage again and celebrates on top. Jeff Hardy coming out on top finally in his war with Jey Uso to end SmackDown. And that is the final SmackDown in the build-up to Backlash, ending the week with another 72. A very solid week of action here from Raw, NXT and SmackDown, leading into Backlash and NXT Takeover in Your House. The next episode will of course be a Takeover in Your House Backlash special episode. If you'd like to see that and you want to see more, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.